Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series. Some surprise updates from iRacing got us a little bit delayed on the start, but now we are here and we are live from the virtual Texas Motor Speedway for the round number 7 of the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series. Joshua Lee up with you topside alongside Jordan Hicks. And Jordan, we're getting underway. The 2 of Nick Nickerson already out to a good lead. Christopher Hamilton sits in second. Carl Handwork third, Kevin Foster fourth, with Eric Andrews rounding out your top 5 currently on the racetrack as we make our way across the start finish line one more time and on to lap number 3 of the evening. And just continuing on with this series, it has been a great run so far. We enter round number 7, and already the action on the racetrack starting to heat up as Carl Handwork all over the back bumper of Chris Hamilton.
You know, like you said, an unexpected start, and you can already see the top 3. Definitely very interesting as we just started. And going throughout the whole race, I really think it's going to be an interesting one here tonight.
And they now work their way on to lap number 4 of the evening. And just taking a look right now at the standings, a couple surprise names further back. Jimmy Covert in a huge battle with a couple of cars back here. He's alongside Paul Butler. Dylan McDonald in here as well. Covert trying to run the outside line, seeing if that does anything. He's on the outside of Dylan McDonald right now, but you can see the complete parking lot up ahead of him. That's Eric Andrews and Jonathan Platt leading the way, with Dylan McDonald sitting there, third spot on the inside line. McDonald's gonna get a little bit loose. Can he save it? Yes, he does. What a save from the 38. Oh, and he's gonna get pinched down to the inside as well. Here comes the 50 of Mark Thomas to the outside. He got slightly pinched. He was able to keep it going and not end up in the grass. But still a close call as Willie Evernham, Joshua Bellitter going battling now. Almost 3 wide. Here comes the 19 to the inside of the 50. Contact is made. Evernham gets through. He makes his way now up into 11th. Bellitter now trying to take the 12th spot away from Thomas.
A whole lot of action going on trackside right now as we just started, and there's cars going off the track, saving their cars, and a whole lot of position changes, and it's very, very interesting so far, but definitely going on throughout that race. Definitely the tires effects of the cars and everything is going to affect the way they take the track, so the way they're racing right now is really good as we continue on here tonight.
We continue taking a look at the 3 of Joshua Bellitter, currently 13th in the season standings in the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series. He continues to race further back here. Willie Evernham still in front of the 50 of Mark Thomas, sits now in 11th. Little 4-car Chevy Monte Carlo draft going on as they make their way out of turn number 2. Back up to the top of the racetrack, though. It's Nick Nickerson still leading the way. Christopher Hamilton getting a little bit of a gap over Carl Handwork now, as he makes his way in P number 2, trying to catch up to that leader, the 2-car up in front. And we'll get the battle box going for you right now. Bottom right of your screen, you can see just about 2.5 tenths separate these two as they work on the racetrack right now. Chris Hamilton currently sitting 5th in the season standings, and that is great for him, and it's going to be a great night for him if this continues. He's behind the wheel of that Ford Thunderbird, and you can see 1/10 of a second now separating these two leaders as they make their way back into turn number 1. Lap 9 of 80 now on the night. Making their way out of turn 2, and you can see they get so close together, and we talked about dirty air a lot in this series. That kind of impacts the passes they are able to make on the racetrack. And diving back to the inside, that's Chris Hamilton looking to get around for the lead. Yes, he does. New leader is the 64 of Christopher Hamilton. Great run for him around the inside of Nick Nickerson, and he grabs the first spot. But here comes Carl Handwork now to join the fight. We can add him there to the battle box. All of them separated by about 4.5 tenths. Back into turn number 3. The 64, the 2, the 18, your top 3 as they work their way around the racetrack once more. 10 laps completed. Still 70 laps to go here at the Texas Motor Speedway. And Hamilton leading the way is great for him in the points. Like we mentioned, 5th in the season standings. He's already clinched into the playoffs, but any other advantage you can get is important. Carl Handwerk with 2 wins on the season. He currently leads the points. Nick Nickerson runs 2nd on the racetrack. He's also 2nd in points, also clinched into the playoffs. Currently right now not clinched into the playoffs. Willie Evernham, Andrew Gunther, Eric Andrews, they're in on points at the moment, but still at risk of being eliminated. Same thing with Matt Crockett, Paul Butler, Kevin Foster, and Jimmy Covert. Joshua Belitter, Wesley Fuller, Derek Sherman, Dave Lohr on the outside looking into the playoffs after 6 rounds of action. We are now on round number 7, creeping into the halfway point of this regular season before we end out the regular season and head into the playoffs for some intense playoff racing in the latter half of this race. But right now, focusing on round number 7, as the 2 of Nick Nickerson lost the lead, trying to regain it now from the 64 of Christopher Hamilton. And Carl Handwerk sitting in the wings right now in this battle for first. We'll go on board with Handwerk just to see exactly what he's trying to do as they make their way down the front straightaway onto lap 14, back into turn number 1. You can see how much lifting goes on here at the Texas Motor Speedway in these new NASCAR Cup Series cars. It's almost flat out for the first couple of runs of the stint, and same thing on the front straightaway, completely flat out throughout those kinks. Here in these vintage Cup Series cars, you need to lift through those kinks or you're going to find yourself spinning out or in the wall and out of the race. So everybody getting stuck into their setups right now, getting those tires warmed up and worn in. Tire wear, a huge thing with these cars like we talk about every week, as Handwerk makes a move on the 2 for the 2nd position on the racetrack. He will grab it, put the 18 of Carl Handwerk now up to 2nd and looking for the lead away from the 64 of Hamilton.
It almost seems like the tire wear is getting into these drivers' minds. As you can see, the 2 car, he has dropped a few positions. He went down to 3rd from 2nd, and it seemed like the past few laps that he was been running, you know, definitely sliding up more into the higher part of the track. And you can see it right there, as I'm pretty sure, once again, it's tire wear, as the 18 car of Carl Handwerk is gaining on Christopher Hamilton, as that is a good battle with lap 17 right now, going on to 18 here. And, you know, definitely a really good battle, Josh, and this is something I'm pretty sure you would see towards the end of the race.
They're looking for that lead quickly as Hamilton and Handwerk go battling down the front straightaway onto lap number 18 on the evening here at Texas. And Handwerk has not been in the lead so far yet tonight. We've had one lead change, and that has been Christopher Hamilton up at the top of the field. Well, technically 2 lead changes. Hamilton did actually qualify on the pole to begin this night. Unfortunately, we missed the green flag, like we mentioned earlier. Some surprise iRacing updates got us. We got in literally right as the green flag was dropping and immediately went live for all of you fans. But here's the battle for the lead. Handwerk making his way down to the inside on Christopher Hamilton. 3rd lead change of the night. The 2nd one was Hamilton getting back by the 2 of Nick Nickerson to grab the lead back from where he started. And now here comes Handwerk down to the inside, looking for the lead. Both of them getting a little bit sideways, making their way to turn 3. And Carl Handwerk getting especially sideways, has to save it down on the bottom of the racetrack. Hamilton will keep the lead, and now Handwerk falls back to about a half a second. And here comes the 2 of Nick Nickerson. He's back in this fight for the lead. inching closer to a quarter of the way through this race as we complete 20 laps of racing here at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway in the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series. Coming up next week here on the series, we're going to be making our way to the Bristol Motor Speedway, and I believe it is currently up in the air if it will be asphalt or dirt Bristol Motor Speedway, so stay tuned for that. We'll have that information for you next week when we go live. Then after that, it's the first road course of the season when we head to Watkins Glen, then Talladega, Charlotte for the All-Star race, then to Charlotte for the Cheerwine 100 points race, then to Martinsville, Michigan, and Indianapolis rounds out the regular season here on the broadcast. Then we head into the playoffs with Pocono Raceway, Phoenix Raceway, New Hampshire Motor Speedway in round 1, round 2, Daytona, Atlanta, and Richmond, and the final round to crown a champion at the Kansas Speedway. So a lot more action coming up in the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series this season, and we work our way on lap 22 here from the virtual Texas. The 2-car of Nick Nickerson in third, currently falling off of the pace from those lead pack. And you can see this one lead pack is Hamilton and Handwork battling up at the front of the racetrack. Moving back to a couple battles further back, there's Jonathan Platt spreading out a little bit here in the midfield. Paul Butler attempting the outside line currently, trying to find a little bit of grip there on the racetrack, maybe also trying to conserve the tires. You run further up the racetrack, you have to turn the wheel a little bit less than you would need to if you were down on the bottom of the racetrack, so could be a little bit of tire saving from Paul Butler. He currently sits in 6th. Derek Sherman's battling with Mark Thomas. This is for 9th. And Covert in this battle as well. He sits in the 8th spot ahead of these two racing, Sherman and Thomas. And here comes Mark Thomas down to the inside of Derek Sherman. The 2 of Nick Nickerson is in pit road, though. We got to hop up to this. Lap 25 of 80. He makes his way down pit road. First time we've seen a car hit pit road tonight. We've also been caution-free for the entire night up to this point. And the 2 of Nick Nickerson brings it down into pit road. Or maybe green flag pit stop starting, Jordan, or could this be an unscheduled pit stop for the 2?
You know, it definitely seems like a green flag pit stop, as it seems like a few drivers... Well, no, I'm sorry. The 2-car, you know, I'm pretty sure he's done it before. I'm not 100% sure, but we saw recently either a race or 2 back as he went 2 laps down from going in the pits, and he made that ground back, and, you know, definitely really surprising. So maybe new fresh tires, and it possibly might help him gain back into the top 3 depending on how this track treats him right now.
Well, he is only 1 lap down, and those fresh tires might help him here for a while, but still up at the front of the racetrack. Now the battle for the lead has gone over to Carl Handwork. He grabs the lead away from Christopher Hamilton as the tires continue to wear. Handwork in this series especially has been known to save those tires especially well, and that puts him up to the lead. And Christopher Hamilton comes into pit road. Derek Sherman also made his way into pit road in the 51. Definitely seems like green flag pit stop starting to begin here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Everybody going to end up making their way down pit road at some point. I believe this will be the first of 2 pit stops they're going to make here tonight. Believe they would be fairly close on fuel, but the main thing being those tires. You want to get those tires switched off at any point that you can. It's also good to top off with fuel, so these guys might be good to the end on fuel, but those tires are going to wear too much, and sometimes you want that trade-off of being able to pit 4 tires, and that's going to be more important when you pit for tires when you need them versus pitting for tires when you need fuel. So it's that need for tires that is going to overpower the need for fuel here tonight at the Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, this track also fairly abrasive, and it has had some repaves over the years. It's also had a little bit of changes in turns 1 and 2, dropping the banking, making it a little bit wider, but all things considered, this track still is a one to eat up some tires, and no different in these cars. More cars coming down pit road. Jonathan Platt making his way now out of the pit box. Paul Butler also coming in. Handwork stays on the racetrack. Foster now in second. Eric Andrews third. Jimmy Covert fourth. And Nick Nickerson in the 2. Got a little bit loose up ahead of these guys. He's still loose chasing it up the racetrack. The 2 car trying to get those tires warmed up. The new ones that he just put on. Doesn't look like any more takers down pit road. Handwork stays on. Foster, Andrews, Covert, Thomas, Evernham, Fuller, McDonald, Crockett, Bellitter, Lohr. All have not come down pit road yet. Hamilton, Nickerson, Platt, Butler, and Sherman have all come down. Add Carl Handwork now to that list as he makes his way into the pit lane. Foster in as well. Eric Andrews stays out. Will Covert come in? Yes, he will. Thomas stays out on the racetrack. Evernham, Fuller, McDonald. Now taking a look to see if Matt Crockett comes in. No, he doesn't. He stays out. So does Bellitter and Dave Lohr. So now only the top 8 on the racetrack have not made their way down into pit road yet. And here comes your penultimate leader, or sorry, preliminary leader, I should say. Eric Andrews in the 9. He'll make his way into pit lane. Mark Thomas as well from second. Willie Evernham will assume the lead up at the front of the racetrack in the 19. Wesley Fuller now assumes second place. Matt Crockett, Joshua Bellitter staying on the racetrack as Dave Lohr makes his way into pit road in the 17. So top 4 have not come into pit road yet. It's Evernham, Fuller, Crockett, and Bellitter. Just waiting on making those green flag pit stops for tires and fuel. A little bit of a battle between Fuller and Platt as Platt goes around these 2 on the outside line. He's trying to get his lap back, and he will as Evernham and Fuller make their way into pit lane. Crockett will dive on in, so Bellitter now the only car on the racetrack to not come down pit road just yet, still waiting for the 3 car to make his first pit stop of the night, but nonetheless he will have to make it at one point. There's the laps everybody made their way into pit lane. The earliest of them was on lap 24 from the 2 car of Nick Nickerson. A lot of drivers pitting in those lap 32, lap 33, lap 31. Here comes Bellitter. He's coming in on 34. Lap 26, also an early pit stop. 29, 28 from Jonathan Platt, 27 from Hamilton. And Hamilton will assume the lead now of this race. Nickerson in second. Handwork third, Platt fourth, Kevin Foster will round out your top 5. But Christopher Hamilton now leads the way as we make our way onto lap number 35, coming to lap 36 when they come across the start-finish line this time by. Couple cars now 1 lap down. The top 9 currently on the lead lap, with everybody else down from there. 7 cars to be exact off of the lead lap. Majority of them 1 lap down, but as you can see, Jimmy Covert in the 14, 2 laps down at the bottom of the field. 16 cars took the green flag here at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. And Christopher Hamilton continues to lead the way, working his way around the 38 of Dylan McDonald to put him 1 lap down. And that'll put it so 8 cars will be on the lead lap instead of that top 9. Next car back is the 2 of Nick Nickerson, who sits all the way back 9.9 seconds from Christopher Hamilton. You can see the 2 car battling with Carl Handwerk in the 18 for second. They're coming out of turn 4. Hamilton working his way through the middle of 1 and 2. So a good difference between these front cars, but here comes Handwerk, not wasting any time on the 2 car, as he will go right around him on the inside line. Handwerk now up to second, and the question is, how quickly will he be able to catch Christopher Hamilton up in front? Seems like every race we have Carl Handwerk cutting his way through the field like a knife, and that's what he's trying to do now. 9.6 seconds back from Hamilton.
You know, it's definitely going to get interesting as these drivers are going to start reaching lap traffic, which will intensify the race even more, as the drivers will either have to check up, depending on where each driver is, that is a lap down. And from what it seems like right now, these drivers are not dealing with it too bad. But if we were to take a look at Hamilton, it seemed like he was getting checked up a little bit too much with some lap traffic there. But everything seems to be clean right now, as we surprisingly have no cautions yet. So very nice clean racing, and really hope to see more, and maybe we can go straight through the race without any cautions here tonight.
We shall see as we work our way onto lap number 40. When they come across the line this time by, it'll be lap 41. 40 down, 40 to go, and halfway finished with this race here on Racecraft TV. We're glad you're joining us here on this beautiful Monday evening for the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series. And remember, you can catch all rounds of the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series live here on Racecraft TV every Monday night. So make sure if you're not subscribed to the channel that you hit that subscribe button, completely free. Make sure you also hit that notification bell. Get notified every time we go live here on Racecraft TV for any broadcast, whether it's the NASRA broadcast, Trucks Cup Series, whether it's Pro 4, Pro 2 trucks. We have some exciting off-road races coming up soon here on Racecraft TV. We also have charity events for the JDRF. We have multiple other series that we broadcast here, from short course to oval to road courses to rallycross. You don't want to miss any of the action here on Racecraft TV. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and make sure that you come back every time Racecraft TV is live for high quality iRacing broadcasts at your fingertips. And if you're looking for a broadcast that you want live broadcasted on Racecraft TV of an iRacing league, then you can make your way over to racecrafttv.com, and you'll be able to take a look at all of our pricing options that we have, so you can make sure that you have your league broadcasted live on Racecraft TV. Currently now working on lap number 44 of 80 here from the Texas Motor Speedway. And taking a look at that playoff situation, we'll get it up on the screen here in just a moment, but just taking a look at it, it currently sits a very interesting playoff picture, to say the least, as we take a look at those points standings. The playoff format acts a lot like the NASCAR Cup Series that you're used to seeing. And honestly, what it is the old Winston Cup Series style of points merged with the playoff format of NASCAR, of the current day NASCAR, and it plays out very interestingly because we have a lot of drivers in the multiple hundreds of points. We have Carl Handwerk, your current points leader as far as the number points goes, not the playoff standings, as over 1,000 points in the championship. So it really gets to be a little bit crazy how these points work out, and it's a lot of points wiggle room, as well as it's multiple points these guys are gaining per position they gain on the racetrack. So very interesting to watch and to watch it play out. And we're going to be following it the entire season here on Racecraft TV. And just getting that playoff picture up for all of you now, just to kind of just take a look at it here for a moment. And I'm trying to make sure you can see that as well as the race, just so we don't miss any action there either. Just talking about these playoff standings, it is insane where we sit currently in the championship standings and where we're going to go, as we still have a lot of rounds left. We're only reaching the halfway point once the checkered flag falls on this race here at Virtual Texas. We're only reaching the halfway point of the regular season. We still have an entire other half of regular season action to play out here in the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series. So make sure that you're tuned in for all of that action here on Racecraft TV so you don't miss a single moment of it. And it looks like we'll have those playoff standings up here in just a moment. And here they are. So you can see these playoff standings and just exactly how they're working out. And you can see Carl Handwerk clenched in. He's the only driver to win multiple races this season. Nick Nickerson in second. He's clenched as well, along with Chris Hamilton, Dylan McDonald, and Mark Thomas. They have all won races this season, and they are clenched into the playoffs. Now, those bottom spots, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, we cut off at 12 once the regular season is over. Evernham, Gunther, Andrews, Crockett, Butler, Foster, and Covert all currently sit with 0 clenched spots. They are not clenched into the playoffs whatsoever. They sit with 0 wins on the season. They're currently in that top 12 via points. But until that top 12 completely locks itself when the playoffs begin, they do not have a guaranteed spot unless they get a win. So wins are super important for Evernham, Gunther, Andrews, Crockett, Butler, Foster, and Covert, and they're even more important for Blitter, Fuller, Sherman, and Lohr, as they are currently on the outside looking in, albeit not by much. It can change in one race, but especially where they currently run in the standings, Blitter running 14th, Dave Lohr running 16th, Derek Sherman running down in 12th, and Wesley Fuller running in 13th. They're all in the bottom half of this field. Two of them multiple laps down. Sorry, one of them multiple laps down, and the other's 1 lap down, not on the lead lap, with Jimmy Covert currently sitting on that 12th spot right above the cut line, 12 points above Joshua Blitter, currently sits in 13th, also 15th, 2 laps down. So incredibly important for some of these drivers to make their way up to the front of this field and start trying to get those wins, because they are not guaranteed a spot in the playoffs if they don't. And we're currently working lap number 53 of 80 here at the Virtual Texas Motor Speedway for the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series, live on Racecraft TV. Top 7 currently sit on the lead lap. Everybody else 1 lap down or more. Dave Lohr now going to go 3 laps down, so he runs on the top of the racetrack. And Christopher Hamilton, your current leader, trying to chase down the 68 of Paul Butler up ahead as he makes his way on to lap number 54. Taking a look at those best lap times of the race, currently sits with Nick Nickerson in the 2 car, 31.570, a great lap time from him. Some other fast times coming from Carl Handwerk, 31.665, 31.691 from your current leader, Christopher Hamilton. Everybody else in the bottom half of the 32s, but a couple drivers able to etch their way into the 31s so far tonight. Remind you of what happened about a few laps ago as Jonathan Platt makes his way into pit road. This might be his second scheduled pit stop, but seems a little bit early as you take a look at those pit laps. The earliest pit was lap number 24 from the 2. We're expecting maybe some pit stops coming up here fairly soon as Nick Nickerson is in. So second round of green flag pit stops begin, and this is going to be the second and final pit stop for each of these drivers, assuming we go green to the end. So Platt is in, Nickerson is in, and we wait on the rest of the cars to make their way into pit lane. As now the second round of green flag pit stops have begun.
You know, Josh, I was really starting to get curious on if this would be the first time this season, I'm pretty sure, that we have gone a entire green flag start to finish race, as it's just non-stop clean racing here tonight. Yes, few bumps and little bit spins here, but you know, a lot of these drivers are keeping these cars straight, and you can barely tell that there's any damage done to these cars. So major prop to these drivers, as this track can definitely be one to handle, but a major props to a lot of these drivers who are keeping it straight. And once again, very curious on if it's going to be a start to finish green flag here tonight.
That is very possible. As we work our way on to lap number 58, there's your leader, Christopher Hamilton, in pit road. Kevin Foster now assumes the lead in the 8 car. And Hamilton makes his way out of pit road. Eric Andrews in second. He barely gets by Christopher Hamilton. Paul Butler will as well. Dylan McDonald's in the 38. Currently sits in 5th, a little further back, but I believe he will end up getting by the 64. It might be a little bit close, but Hamilton might be able to keep that spot and stay in 4th place, as he is assumed to be the leader once everybody makes their way down pit road. But as we saw last time, a lead change happened under those green flag stops between Handwork and Hamilton. So we'll see if that happens again. First caution out of the night. I'm not sure where. Willie Evernham in the 19. The first caution of the night. What happened for the 19? It didn't show up on the events time, on the event viewer. So I didn't exactly know anything happened. I have to rewind from where we were live, and he loses it going into turn number 1, up into the wall.
Really curious, because it looked like his back tires seemed to lock up out of nowhere. So we're going to take another look at that. You can see him doing perfectly fine right here, and then you just see tons of smoke. Unless he got loose. Can't really tell because of the fence right there. But definitely one to see here tonight, as first caution of the night. Knew it was coming somewhere. And as we are under caution, lap 60 out of 80. Very good racing here tonight so far.
So the remaining of those drivers who have yet to come down pit road are going to do so. Here comes Foster in and everybody else behind him. So the 17 of Dave Lohr is a lap down, so he currently sits up at the top of the field and will be making his way around the pace car. And a couple drivers are going to grab wave arounds here just to make sure everything's good to go. And I want to go on the nose right now of the 17 of Dave Lohr, so you can see the brand new unnamed iRacing SUV pace car, or a coupe pace car, or something like that. But it is a brand new iRacing.com pace car. No specific manufacturer, but it is the brand new pace car pacing the field here at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. We're going to step away for a quick break, but when we come back, more action from the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series live on Racecraft TV. Make sure that you're not going anywhere.
We needed more.
More from our bodies.
More from our minds.
So we went on a mission.
To study the top level of performance across every competitive playing field.
To find what fuels the highest level of athletes, businessmen, and gamers.
Through intense trials across every competitive landscape, we found that there were 5 undeniable principles that help your body operate at the highest level of peak performance all the time.
Focus. The ability to visualize and execute with precision. Focus is the single most important component when it comes to performance.
We combined multiple choline sources, including alpha GPC, choline bitartrate, along with L-tyrosine to help boost mental performance.
Recovery.
We need to take you from 5% to 100% as fast as possible. Bounce back with nourishing BCAAs.
For body and mind. Energy.
Fuel to get the job done. Answer the bell with confidence that you'll be able to attack energy and intensity.
We mix a blend of instant and sustained release caffeine to light a fire with
300 milligrams of GO.
stamina.
The willpower to see it to the end.
But true stamina is coming back day after month after year. We incorporated L-carnitine to deliver energy on a cellular level, with betaine anhydrous and taurine augmenting those effects.
Hydration. Sports science was built on hydration, and it's no secret why.
That's why we added a blend of electrolytes to help sustain performance. We tried all of the other energy drinks. They may help you stay awake, but not much else. We combined all 5 pillars of performance into one single form:
Focus.
Recovery.
energy,
Stamina.
and hydration. We call it refresh technology.
And it delivers more.
Welcome to our music festival, Mark. Welcome to our music festival, Mark.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Straightening the curves, flattening the hills. Someday the mountain might get 'em, but the law never will. Making their way the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law will allow. Just a good old boy that wouldn't change if they could. Fighting the system like a true modern day Robin Hood.
Welcome back to the virtual Texas Motor Speedway, continuing with the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series Round 7 from the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. Under our first caution of the night, the first time we have had a caution tonight, and we're now making our way back to the green flag behind the iRacing.com pace car. Kevin Foster, Eric Andrews on the front row, on the first 2 on the top line. Those drivers on the inside: Bellitter, Covert, Fuller, Sherman, Everdam, Lord, McDonald. They're all over 1 lap down, so they sit a little bit further back. But we're back racing now, underway at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. And out in front, it's Kevin Foster. First time Foster showing his might out in front tonight. And a huge pile up behind Eric Andrews. Look at this. It looks almost like Daytona out here to make their way back into 1. Andrews trying to defend his 2nd spot away from Carl Handwerk and Christopher Hamilton behind him. We know how antsy these two get. Handwerk, Hamilton, they race so hard against each other. And they race so close together. They're trying to cut their way through traffic so they can become the top 2 once again and go battling for the lead. Handwerk trying to go 2 in a row here in the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series. He dives down to the inside of the 9.
You know, Josh, we're winding down to the final 14 laps of tonight's race, and this is where things can get crazy. And we've previously seen that Carl Handwerk, you know, he's definitely one of the fastest that we've seen out here on the track. No other than a lot of more drivers we have here. But you can just see the 18 of Carl Handwerk just cutting his way through traffic, and that gap just keeps getting smaller and smaller lap by lap to the 8 car of Kevin Foster. As you can see, like just 2 laps ago, Carl Hamburg was behind the 64 car and the 9 car, and now he's way out front of both of them as he is making his way to the top
another
of the
caution out on
leaderboard.
the racetrack. Dylan McDonald around. And he automatically tows it right back to pit road. Was he coming out of pit road? It looks like he was.
Might
I
have
think he
spun
stayed
it
in pit
around.
road. No,
Oh.
that could have been an internet problem, hardware problem, some sort of problem for Dylan McDonald, because he went just straight into the inside fence. Well, either way, we're back under caution now. And that will put Kevin Foster still in the lead. Handwork in second. Eric Andrews third. Sorry, Christopher Hamilton third. Eric Andrews, no, it will be Eric Andrews in third. Christopher Hamilton in fourth at the moment of caution. But we work lap number 68 of 80, coming into the final 10 laps of this race. Time quickly winding down. And Jordan, I want to bring this up considering that now we're under another caution. Foster makes his way into pit road from the lead. He wants some fresh Goodyear tires under him for this final run. Christopher Hamilton in as well. The 2, the 43, the 68, and more making their way down pit road. Handwork and Andrews now the top 2. But Jordan, as I was saying before, I really want to talk about this cautions breed cautions thing. We know it well if you're racing in any level of iRacing competition. Once you get one caution, you're gonna get another and another and another and another. Are we gonna see some possible green-white checkered finishes here? Are we gonna see more cautions before the end of this race?
You know, I definitely see at least one more caution, but it's just because a lot of these drivers are getting really antsy on trying to get up in that top 3 at least. And, you know, a lot of hard racing can go down here tonight. So definitely looking to see one more caution at least before we hit the checkered flag.
And the field making their way down the back straightaway here at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. And this race so far tonight has been an interesting one. We had a very long green flag run before our first caution of the night. And that leads us to where we are now with 12 laps to go. And we just got another caution only about 2 laps after we went green after that first incident. So we're going to be going green with about 10 laps to go here from the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. Round 7 of the regular season here in the championship. Some cars faking their way into pit lane, but staying on the racetrack, not wanting to come down into the pit lane just yet. But as I was saying, under round 7 of the championship in the regular season, once the checkered flag waves here, we'll be at that halfway mark of the regular season, and that's going to lead us into the playoffs. And the 7 races we're going to have in the playoffs split over 3 rounds. 3 races in the first round, 3 races in the second, with the finale round being in Kansas. So a lot of interesting racing still to come. And make sure that you're going to be here on Racecraft TV every Monday night for the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series, because we will be here giving you all of the action each and every week here in the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series as the championship just starts to heat up, and we still have a long ways to go in the championship. And it is going to be an exciting one all the way to the finish, as we have a good amount of cars that are currently sitting at the top of the point standings, all trying to get their way into that championship. And that championship is going to be important, because a lot of drivers want that championship. They want those bragging rights. The question is, who's going to be able to get it done? And right now, we have a solid couple of drivers that have a great chance at getting that done. It's all about remaining focused on that championship. Lights go out on the iRacing.com pace car. And we're going to be heading back to green here shortly on Racecraft TV. Handwork will lead us to the green flag. Eric Andrews in second. Crockett third, Thomas fourth, and Kevin Foster rounds out your top 5. Foster on the newest tires out of anybody, and he currently sits in that 5th spot. Watch him to be a threat possibly on this start. Single file coming down the back straightaway. They will restart in a single file line. As we look to go back to racing. Field now pacing up at the top of the racetrack, ready and itching to go back to racing. Handwork, Andrews, Crockett, Thomas, Foster, your top 5. And it is time to go back to racing from the virtual Texas. Let's go back to green. 9 laps to go. Handwork with a great start already, about 9/10 ahead of Andrews. Matt Crockett fighting behind. '64, Christopher Hamilton trying to cut his way through the field. He has Kevin Foster ahead of him in the aid car. Fighting for 5th. Hamilton on the outside gets a little bit loose. He's not going to have the 2 to his inside. The 50 of Mark Thomas in 4th, now joining this fight. Matt Crockett falling back in 3rd. Eric Andrews sits in 2nd. He's trying to chase down Carl Handwork. If Andrews does chase down Handwork, he's going to become another unique winner on the season. Andrews has not won a race this season, and he currently sits 8th in the playoff standings, 88 above the cut line. If he wins this race, he's going to get clenched into the playoffs. Losing a little bit of time, though. 1 second separates him and Handwork as they make their way back into 1.
You know, this is where definitely where everything comes down to the line. It's either Handwork gets it or, you know, an outbreak happens and all hell breaks loose. But we're hoping for a nice, clean checkered as, you know, there's still a 1 second gap in between 1 and 2 right now, but it seems to be as Handwork is still on top, as I don't think we've seen him pit in a little bit, so he's running on some old tires, and he's definitely showing that, you know, a lot of times he can run on older tires and it doesn't really affect him.
You can see that lap time comparison in the last 3 laps under green. It has been Handwork faster than Andrews every single lap. We can expect that to be the same this time by 5 laps to go from the virtual Texas Motor Speedway in the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series. Actually, that time by, Andrews was just a touch faster. Does Andrews have a chance? He's trying to chase down Carl Handwork up ahead for that first spot. 9/10 separate these two. Andrews trying to become another unique winner on the season. Can he possibly do it? 4 to go.
You can see that gap slowly winding down, smaller and smaller as each lap goes by. But it all depends on if he has enough time to catch Handwork with 4 remaining. And, you know, he's definitely got to make a push if he wants that win. But I'm pretty sure if he gets in the top 3, he should be happy. But, you know, Handwork is just one of those drivers who are on top every single week. And he can literally win at any track he goes to. As we are on 3 to go tonight at Texas. And what a night so far.
9/10 separate the 2 leaders as Handwork goes back onto the back straightaway. Andrews trying to fight for the spot, but here comes more cars behind him. The 2 of Nick Nickerson looking for second back. Christopher Hamilton right behind him. Handwork comes onto the front straightaway to take 2 laps to go. And across the line he goes. 2 more laps remaining. Battle for second further back. That's Andrews and Nickerson. And Nickerson is going to grab that spot. He'll take second. Hamilton trying to go with him. But it's all Carl Handwerk up ahead. Final lap from Texas. Dives it into turn number 1 for the final time. He usually starts popping up in the leaderboard almost immediately. He doesn't usually qualify on the pole. Tonight he qualified third, but it seems like he always finds his way up to the front, goes to the back, and finds his way back up to the front. Carl Handwerk grabs his third win of the season from Texas. A textbook race from Carl Handwerk to grab yet another win. This becomes his third win of the season. A great run from Carl Handwerk, as a little bit of a celebratory drift there from the 2 of Nick Nickerson. He finishes second on the day. And Handwerk is going to burn it down on the front straightaway. What a win for the 18 team. New damage model also being shown off on the front straightaway as we have a bit of a demolition derby. And we're going for a celebratory Polish victory lap backwards around the racetrack, popularized by Alan Kolwicki. Car not damaged from the race. I don't think he had any damage at all tonight here at the Virtual Texas Motor Speedway. That is from the celebratory demolition derby. Is the huge hit head on from Eric Andrews. Showing off that new damage model very well from Carl Handwerk. That will conclude tonight's race. As you can see, a little bit of it left on your screen as they make their way down the back straightaway. Some more damaged race cars scattered around the racetrack. We'll take a look at your full race results now. In the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series, Carl Handwerk with the win. Nick Nickerson in second. Christopher Hamilton third. Eric Andrews fourth, with Kevin Foster rounding out your top 5. Mark Thomas in sixth. Jonathan Platt seventh. Paul Butler eighth. Jimmy Covert ninth, with Matt Crockett rounding out your top 10. Wesley Fuller 11th. Derek Sherman in 12th. Joshua Bellitter 13th. Dave Lohr 14th. Willie Evernham 15th, with Dylan McDonald rounding out your top 16, and all the cars that took the green flag here today. An amazing race from the Virtual Texas Motor Speedway. And Jordan, we're taking off of this race, and we're really starting to get this championship heating up, as now Handwerk 3 wins on the season, everybody else with 1. Is he your championship favorite currently?
You know, it's either Handwerk or Nickerson, man. You know, these drivers are really consistent tonight. And as we saw tonight, we only saw, I'm pretty sure, 2 or 3 cautions. So a major congratulations to all the drivers who kept it clean. And, you know, what a race here tonight.
A great race from the Virtual Texas Motor Speedway, and a great third win on the season from Carl Handwerk. We're currently joined by him in the booth. Carl, congratulations on yet another win this season. 3 wins on the season. Were you expecting to get 3 this early, especially where we had a run for a while there where we had multiple unique winners? I believe we got up to 5 unique winners in 5 races.
Yeah, I mean, this race, I felt okay, but I felt maybe, top 5, top 3 kind of speed. I didn't think Chris kind of had that speed until he took that 2-tire pit stop because it seemed like I was faster and I might have been the fastest on the track leading up to that the first green flag pit stop. But I came in, took 4. Nick came in and took 4, but Chris took 3. I mean, yeah, took 3. He took 2, and I gained on him for a little bit. Then all of a sudden he started pulling away. I'm like, how is he doing that with only 2 tires? And apparently that was what you needed just to get it a little bit loose. But yeah, of course I'm happy for the win. I'll take the win. But I even said to Chris afterwards, I'm like, this was your win, buddy. You had the car I think to beat, and he just got kind of screwed over by the cautions. But we'll take it. We'll take some more bonus points into the playoffs.
And we saw that long green flag run at the beginning. We started that second phase of green flag pit stops, and I think we maybe only had one other set of green flag pit stops so far this season. We almost saw 2 full sets of green flag stops tonight. Was that long green flag run something you were expecting, or was it something that you quickly had to adjust to and start saving tires when you realized, okay, we're getting stuck into a run, we're going to have a long way to go?
Well, it kind of seems like they might have fixed the damage model a little bit. That I don't know, for anybody that's out there that's run these 87s, used to just basically graze the wall, or even just like think about hitting the wall and it would explode you off of it. And I think they finally corrected it a little bit, so now you can just kind of scrape off of it. Um, I think that's kind of what attributed to us going green, because scraping the wall or getting in the wall a little bit was going to happen. It happened to Nick, it happened to me, it happened to Chris. It happened to the top 3 guys tonight, and I'm sure it happened to other guys back there. But the fact that we didn't, explode off of the wall and go sideways and cause a caution, I think that definitely helped. But I I wasn't expecting 2 full runs. I thought we'd have something in there, and then when I was coming in and I kind of short pitted a little bit, almost like with Nick with the second pit stop there, and then the caution came right afterwards, and luckily both of us were kind of right at the right spot. I was the last one on the lead lap, and he was lucky dog, but I expected a caution before that second pit stop. But I mean, credit to the guys out there. They drove a good race.
And now we're halfway done with the regular season of races. Are you focusing on the championship yet, or are you waiting for those playoffs to hit to really start focusing on that championship in Kansas?
Yeah, I don't think there's really any way to focus on the championship yet, because no matter what you do in the regular season, everything gets reset. I mean, obviously with the wins, I'll get the bonus points, and it'll help me get through round 1 at least. But I mean, playoffs for any sport, let alone racing, anything can happen. So I'm just going to keep trying to grab these wins, keep trying to stack up bonus points, and at least kind of maybe not secure my way through round 1, but set myself up pretty for the first round, and just kind of take it from there.
Anyone else you would like to thank here on Racecraft TV?
I just want to thank our sponsors, Wooden Nickel Woodworks, Joker Graphics, Raise Energy. Thank you guys, Racecraft TV. You guys have been doing an awesome job. When you guys are in here, Randall filled in last night. He did an awesome job. So everything you guys are doing over there is definitely well worth looking into for anybody that's looking for a broadcaster out there.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us here in the booth. Carl Handwerk, your winner tonight here at the Virtual Texas Motor Speedway. And that's going to conclude it for us here on Racecraft TV. Make sure you come back exactly 1 week's time for another round of the Core Racing League Vintage Cup Series. But that is going to conclude it for us here tonight. For Jordan Hicks, I'm Joshua Lee. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in 1 week's time from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. But for now, we're saying good night from the Virtual Texas.